This is MOJO News.
Hello and welcome to MOJO News. I'm Ngan. The federal court has heard the case of a Tamil family fighting to stay in Australia. The refugee family from Sri Lanka lived in a small Queensland town for 4 years before they were placed into immigration detention in 2018. KARUNA BALASUBRAMANIAN, can the family stay in Australia?
Well, Chester, the federal court hasn't decided whether the family will remain in Australia or not. The court has extended an injunction till 4 p.m. Thursday, until which the family cannot be deported back to Sri Lanka. However, a verdict is set to be reached by 2:15 p.m. Thursday. Justice Modi Bromberg said they would require time to decide the fate of the family following a day-long hearing into the family's 2-year-old daughter's right to apply for a protection visa. Earlier, lawyers for the family had argued that the family's daughter Tarunika was legally entitled to apply for a visa.
I spoke to the family last night. As we know, Christmas Island's 3 hours behind, so I spoke to them last night just to also check in as well to see how things are doing, but it also explaining that we will brief them at the end of today as to where things are. They probably, to be honest, may have already been notified that the injunction has been extended because there are other contacts in the case.
A number of people gathered outside the federal court today, rallying in support of the family. Here is what some of them had to say.
Any delay in deportation is a good news. It means more time for the family to stay here in safety.
The fact that this family is being welcomed by Bila Ella, who needs new families, who wants this family to stay, means that the immigration policies that this country has is broken.
So right now, Chester, the family will remain in Australia for another 24 hours.
Climate activists have ramped up their demonstrations as hundreds rally in the CBD for the second time in a fortnight. Protesters blocked off Princes Bridge before dozens were dragged off the streets by police.
Dozens of protesters holding ground. But one by one, they were dragged away by the police.
There were people willing to get arrested, but they were going to be the people on the road.
Blocking Swanston Street and choking city traffic on Saturday afternoon. Hundreds of activists demanding government action on climate change.
Oh, they've got every right to. That's a democratic society, so everyone should be. In fact, there's people here that are not being allowed into protests.
Draped in red, depicting our dying planet, these demonstrators sent a message. Earth is bleeding. After multiple threats and warnings, police started arresting climate protesters at the corner of Flinders and Swanston Street. Extinction Rebellion climate activists brought the whole city to a standstill. There were people dancing and chanting, before dozens decided to sit on the street and refuse to move.
It's not a violent protest, it's about, doing something for the planet, and we need to do that.
Peaceful protesters questioning democracy as they were forcibly removed and arrested before dispersing after more than 3 hours of demonstrations.
We were told that as long as people stuck to the footpath, there would be freedom of movement.
The global climate strike will take place 3 days before the United Nations Climate Summit on September 20. SHEETAL, SINGH, MOJO News.
And now here's Jillian Area with a look back at the week's top stories.
A bronze statue immortalising Taylor Harris's iconic kick has triggered backlash on social media and was labelled ludicrous by a former AFL coach. They say it honours Harris simply for being trolled online when there are other female athletes more deserving. Harris and her fans have hit back, saying the statue symbolises a moment that catalysed change and opportunities for women in sport. 3 Australians detained in Iran, 2 of whom also have British passports, have been identified. Travel bloggers and couple Jolie King and Mark Firkin were arrested more than 10 weeks ago, while Melbourne academic Dr. Kylie Moore-Gilbert has been kept in solitary confinement for almost a year. Over in the US, President Trump has fired his 3rd national security advisor, John Bolton. While Bolton and Trump disagreed on many foreign policy issues, Bolton's departure coincides with his pushback against Trump to ease sanctions against Iran and could be seen as a move by Trump to improve diplomatic relations with the Arab country. There are also signs that the icy trade war between the US and China could be thawing. Beijing has decided to exempt soybeans, pork and other American agricultural products from additional tariffs. This comes after Trump's announcement to delay tariffs on Chinese products by another 2 weeks. And in Africa, leaders have farewelled Zimbabwe's former president Robert Mugabe at a sparsely attended state funeral. Praised by some as a liberator of white minority rule, his leadership was marred by repression and economic collapse in the later years.
Adding some extra coin in your pocket has been taken quite literally by a group of thieves stealing change from coin-operated laundromats. A business owner in Essendon has been targeted by thieves who have left his self-operating machines short of change.
Dry laundry, and now dry of change. A laundromat in Essendon is the latest target of penny-stealing thieves who managed to steal $1,000 from a self-operated change machine in broad daylight last week. Business owner Bendara Thenakon received a call from a customer doing their laundry after the incident and told him that the private back door was suspiciously ajar. He arrived to find a punched hole in the wall as an access point to the money on the other side of the customer change dispenser. They broke open the dispenser and took every last cent, leaving the small business with $10,000 worth of damages.
So if it has happened during the night, so it's definitely the security company is triggered and they send the security here. So it's nothing happened during night.
Bendara believes it was a well-planned attack on his small family business, as the thieves left without a trace. They cut the wires of the CCTV cameras, stopping vision from being recorded. The thieves left behind a screwdriver, but police have failed to trace any fingerprints. Police are investigating CCTV footage from surrounding businesses and apartment complexes. One resident has revealed that a car was stolen days after the robbery at this laundromat. It's concerning locals that this suburban street has become a hotspot for criminals.
Yeah, it's really feel unsafe and really feel bad, to be honest. It really impacted on the business.
Bendara is now battling with insurance claims and is reviewing security measures, including upgrading CCTV cameras to automatically upload vision to an online cloud. Customers can freely enter the premises and use the unattended laundry facilities. This has left Bendara feeling frightened and concerned for other laundromats in the area who are often easy targets for penny-chasing thieves.
In my policy, it wasn't cover the money, so the money being lost and whatever the money I had to pay as an excess, this is a loss too. So please review your insurance policy and enhance your security.
Brittany Coles, MOJO News.
Tensions are boiling over in the United Kingdom as the deadline for Britain to withdraw from the EU looms closer. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is determined to take Britain out of the Union by October 31. Here's David Bonaddio to break it all down.
Brexit has been plastered over the media now for over 3 years. And if you've been wondering what the fuss is all about, you're not alone. Senior lecturer from Monash University, Dr. Ben Wellings, gives a rundown of the tensions going on in the United Kingdom right now.
Brexit is a new word that is given for the British exit from the European Union, hence Brexit, right? But in terms of the politics of this, it's a very, very contentious thing in British political life because the future of the United Kingdom is at stake.
So, we've established that Brexit is a contentious issue, but then why should Australia care?
Ever since the referendum happened in June 2016, and when the Turnbull Liberal government was formed in July 2016, it put its hand up straight away to do a free trade deal with the United Kingdom. By signalling that, Australian governments were giving tacit support to the whole idea of Brexit, in some ways even encouraging it.
Dr. Welling says that an idea known as the Anglosphere is motivating Brexiteers to support the United Kingdom leaving the European Union.
Something called the Anglosphere might actually be an alternative to the EU. Now, the Anglosphere is not a thing, it's an idea rather than a reality at this particular moment in time. The Americans, the British, Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians, all the usual suspects would be better off trading and acting in concert with each other than Britain would be with the European Union.
Dr. Wellings adds that there's been a push from the right of Australian politics that suggests Britain leaving the European Union is a good idea.
There's a trade answer to that, but there's also the bigger questions about what's going on with democracy, what kind of political behaviours are acceptable. That fits into sort of broader Australian concerns about the state of the world at the moment.
David Bonaddio, MOJO News.
A Chinese-Australian MP has had to defend herself against allegations of foreign interference because of links with the Chinese Communist Party. For more on this, let's go to our political correspondent.
Chester. In an interview, Gladys Liu said she cannot recall being a member of groups that have been linked with the Communist Party. She's accused of being a member of other questionable organizations, but she claimed she sought to promote trade and community activities. We don't know what's in store for Ms. Liu, however, some have called for her to be referred to the High Court. In other political news, the coalition is pushing to introduce cashless welfare debit cards into the Northern Territory and Cape York Peninsula. The controversial debit cards are provided to recipients of New Start and Youth Allowance and can't be used to buy alcohol or withdraw cash. To make things even more complicated, the government is also trying to have welfare recipients tested for drug use. It's the third time approach has been called for after failing to pass through the Parliament twice since 2017. A 12-year-old boy from Alice Springs will make a speech at the United Nations to change the age of criminality in Australia. The Arante and Garwa boy Dujan Hussain was nearly thrown into jail at 10 and is fighting to increase the age at which a child can be incapable of crime to 14 years old. Mr. Hussain presented his speech to the Committee on the Convention on the Rights of the Child last week. In state politics, Victoria is still reeling from the closure of recycling plant SKM. In a bid to find a solution, the Surf Coast Shire will consider giving residents a fifth recycling bin to separate waste. Some residents are taking their recycling to transfer plants instead of letting the rubbish go to landfill. Since the closure of SKM, the Shire was forced to dump 350 tons of recyclable rubbish into landfill. Back to you, Chester.
Right, thanks, Sheetal. And now here's sport with Brittany Coles.
Thanks, Chester. It's been a big week of teams battling out in the finals. Beginning with the Boomers' heartbreak, Australia has fallen short of history with a disappointing loss in the bronze medal match of the FIBA Basketball World Cup, losing 67-59 to France. Australia only just lost their semi-final against Spain on Friday in Shanghai, but the finish was another disappointment for their side, who had their hearts set on making history with the first-place medal. The Boomers finished with another fourth-place finish this World Cup tournament. Despite Metro chaos last Friday evening, Cats fans rejoiced when Geelong defeated West Coast Eagles by 20 points in a gripping semi-final at the MCG. The defending premiers were playing in the wake of Willie Rioli's provisional suspension, but the Cats' leading goal kicker Tom Hawkins will face a one-match ban for incident with Eagles player Will Schofield. Prelim finals will kick off at the G this Friday night when the Tigers take on Geelong for a spot in the grand final. And to Super Netball now, and the New South Wales Swifts have claimed the championship title with an impressive 64-47 victory over the Sunshine Coast Lightning, crushing the Lightning's three-peat dreams at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. And spring racing season has hit the track at Flemington with the Mackay Diva Stakes last Saturday. Gatting defied his 100-1 odds to take home the winning title. And still in Flemington, animal activists are criticising the Victorian Racing Club after Taylor Swift was announced to be performing at this year's Melbourne Cup. It will be her only public appearance in Australia. Another nerve-wracking week of final showdowns will be happening across the nation. Chester.
Yeah, we'll look forward to the prelims. Thanks, Britt. A young man with cerebral palsy has garnered more than 2,000 signatures on a petition calling for airplanes to be more disability-friendly. Noah CALLAN is quadriplegic and can only use his electric wheelchair to get around, but airplanes aren't designed to fit the chair.
For 22-year-old Noah CALLAN, travelling on a plane is just one of the challenges he faces living with cerebral palsy. Noah is on a mission to improve airline travel for people with disabilities, starting a petition with over 2,100 signatures.
I would like it for people with a disability, no matter what that disability is, to be able to access airline travel at the moment. that is not the case.
Noah wants his wheelchair to be locked in as it is when he is travelling by car. Currently, no airline offers such service.
Airlines are trying, I know that, but it is not a one-fits-all approach. I think many organisations want to appear that they are helping, that they are supporting people with disabilities and working towards a more inclusive society, but unfortunately it is just that. An appearance. More needs to be done. It is a human rights issue too.
Noah's father Des says as a result, he has to hold him on flights.
There was an element of risk in it. Certainly we could have toppled over at any given stage. And just also, I guess, it's just the human dignity of being held in front of, in front of people, being lifted up and then being carried to your seat. A little bit like you would someone who'd been, carried off a football ground injured, one under the arms, a couple under the legs, sort of lifting them to their seat sort of thing.
Mojo News contacted Jetstar Airways. They said they're committed to providing a travel experience that is safe and affordable for all their customers, including those with specific needs. Wheelchairs on Jetstar flights are loaded as checked baggage into containers, which they are then loaded into the hold. And Noah has a firm message for the airline companies.
Work with the authorities who have the capacity to change current safety standards to airline travel for people with disabilities and make it happen.
David Bonaddio, Mojo News.
And that is Mojo News for now. You can stay up to date on our website, mojonews.com.au. I'm Chester Ngan. I hope you enjoy your week. From the team, bye for now.